So this is day 3. I didn't want to spend the whole time videotaping. I just went at it. And it's just a series of patch panels to get this piece done. And this is nothing you haven't seen me do before. I did a Frankenstein repair on underneath the 47, the cover for the flywheel there. So, nothing crazy, but I'm going to spray this with some weld-through primer, and I'm thinking that'll show me where all the little pinholes are and all the bad welding that I did. And I'm going to go at it again at the welder. Right now I'm waiting for my flashlight to recharge so I can see when I'm welding. I can't see without the flashlight. So I'll show you how that comes out in a little while. All I can say is, wow, what an awful welder I am. I thought I had filled all this in, and I just missed everything. And I think a lot has to do with I won't say I have poor eyesight, I just can't see through that welding hood very well. Now, yesterday I took it apart and cleaned it up. I wear reading glasses. My son suggested I get the cheater lens for the welder itself. I think I'm gonna get that. Hopefully I can see better. And what I'm gonna do now is, this is weld through primer, just try to seal all this up, make it solid. And then I'll move to the other side, and I got one more piece to fabricate, which is just this little piece right here. And I filled this in here. I don't know if you can see it because the light's not shining on it. I filled that in from the back side with a sub patch. I don't see a reason to cut that out. Maybe I could weld it a little bit better from this side just to make it stronger, but I think it's fine. I had that covered, I was telling you that. Yeah, so there's a patch behind it that's welded on. But that's the piece there. I want to just finish that up. That's just a tiny piece. And fix these welds. So let me get on that. Hey, welcome back. Back on the Fender again. Day 5, 6, 7, I don't know. It all blends into one. Fender's coming along. I'll tell you what I started over here. Well, first of all, I like the way this came out. I mean, it looks ugly, but I didn't have to buy a new bracket, so I'm happy there. But I came over to here, and I started cutting away at here. This was rusted away, this was rusted away. But now I can expose that bracket. I'm going to try to get some acid in there. I think the next step here, before I go any further, I want to try to clean this out with acid. And I have no way to get a brush or a wire wheel into that back corner there. You see that? So I'm just going to splash some acid in there with the brush. I'm going to acid all of this fender. And I think I'm going to wash it, rinse it really good with water afterward. Same thing on this side. You got all these nooks and crannies that, have to be treated. So after the acid, and after it dries really well, then I think I'm going to spray it. I think I've decided on the Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer. There is the Rust Reformer primer also, or Rust Reformer, but I was reading the directions, and that can't go on bare metal. It only goes on rust. The Rusty Metal Primer can go on anything. So I think that's where I'm going. I don't have any. I gotta go to Home Depot and pick up a quart. But for now, I'm just gonna get out the brush and brush on the acid and let it eat away at whatever's left as far as acid. Try to get it on the into here, into these corners. I'll turn this thing up on its side so it'll run in there, and then I'll rinse it out in a few hours. All right, this is one of the few times I can work and talk at the same time. It's quiet work. So this is the phosphoric acid. I'm just brushing it everywhere, especially behind these brackets and on these brackets. So the plan is, once I get this done, go to the other side over here. Here's the top of the bracket, back of the bracket, and I'm just getting as much acid in there as I can. Supposedly the acid's going to eat away the rust, but then I'll still have to treat the metal so it doesn't rust again. Get some kind of paint coating on it. I think the best thing for that, anybody wants to correct me if I'm mistaken, is the Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer. That's the one that's the reddish, red lead color. You know, kind of an orangey color. So, I just started watching, I don't know, Iron City Customs. The guy's doing a 55 or 57 Chevy truck. I gotta go watch what he did, because he was talking about treating rust. And I really should pay attention to what he's doing, because I'm no expert. Another thing I want to mention is I reached 2,500 subscribers, which I think is a nice milestone to reach. Thanks for watching. I don't get a whole lot of viewers, you know, even though 2,500 subscribers, maybe a few hundred views on the videos following the 56 GMC. Most of my views are on the short videos I do. So I don't know what I put out recently, but I got a pretty good surge of subscribers, which is cool, you know. But doesn't mean, you know, there's no money involved. I'm obviously not in this for the money. I just like doing this, letting people know what I'm up to. Really, I like getting good advice from people. Mike at Desert Rat Fabrications, Glenn with Redneck Coach Works, and I'm sure I'm missing other people. I forget a lot of things, a lot of names and stuff, but Joe Sousa. Joe's a great guy out in Rhode Island, which isn't far from me. I went to visit him one time a couple years ago. He gave me some parts for my 47. He's given me a lot of good advice. Actually, we've had a phone call. And that reminds me, Mike, I know I'm going to get your number from your website. I'm going to give you a ring one of these days just to thank you for all you've done for me, all the good advice you've given me on both this truck and the 47. It was not lost on me, believe me. So, yeah, so the plan is to get this all acided up and give it a good rinse and let it dry in the sun. Today's a great day out. It's not going to get too hot, comfortable to work. I only got an hour. I got to go do something in a little while, you know, errand to run. Then I'll come back in the afternoon. But the main concern is right here. This is the back side of the eyebrow. I was looking for the dent. It's like 2 layers there. So, you know, I pointed out the dent in the front of this eyebrow. There's also some rust there too. And they sell patches for that too. I know. You could buy a patch for, I don't know if you can see me still in the picture. Here, I'll bring the camera over. So you see the eyebrow, it's got a dent in it. I don't know if I'm washed out with the sunlight. Yeah, there's a dent. There's some rust holes. So, you know, I got to hit that with the grinder a little bit. I'm wondering if I could put like some dent puller brads on that and pull that out. I'll try that later. Also, I don't know if I'll get to it today, but that's kind of the plan. So that's basically all I have to say. So I'm going to shut this camera off and just keep brushing this acid on. You don't need to watch me brush acid. All right, got the fender flipped over. See the other side of my awful welding, but this piece here, I basically poured the oil here and then tilted the fender so the acid would run, what did I say, oil? Acid would run down into there. And I'm going to just show you this underneath, if you can see it. I don't know if there's enough light. But here's the top of that bracket right here. My finger is. You know, these trucks got all these nooks and crannies. That's why they don't last. It was, you know, they were great trucks when they were put out in the 50s, but they were not made to not rust away. They got all these places that trap dirt and moisture, and they rust right through. I mean, you know, the right here, gone. Top of the fender, you know, it's got a hole. You know, you're lucky if you can find some from the Midwest that survived. You know, above the eyebrow. Look at that rust hole. That's gonna, you know, I gotta open that up some more and try to fill it and pull these dents out. It's a lot of work, and probably not worth it. I've said it a bunch of times. I should just bought a truck ready to go. But Joe Sousa says, well, then you're just buying somebody else's Bondo. But I don't know. It's coming along. It's going to take a while, maybe a few years. Who knows? But I'll get back to you after I rinse this. I'll show you how it came out and how I treat whatever's bare metal. Has got to be, you know, protected, and I got to somehow get in those nooks and crannies that I've poured acid into. I got to neutralize that acid with water, and then the water's got to dry, and then I got to get something in there to cover the bare metal that's behind there. So still a lot to go on this, and I haven't even figured out patching this, putting the patch panel on here, whether I'm going to go all the way across with the new panel, big as the panel is. You can see I got the dents banged out, but they're still there. You still see them. I could probably hammer those some more, but that's another day. All right, back after a few hours, and you see the rust is eating away. Anywhere there was rust, it's kind of clear through, gone. Well, still a little showing there, but now I need to neutralize that acid. I think if you leave it there for like, you know, a month, it dissipates. But I got the hose out. I'm just going to wash it off, rinse it best I can. I especially want to get up in those where all the mud was under the eyebrow. So let me shut the camera off and do that. See if I can do it without making a mess of myself. Now, talk about getting thrown for a loop. the pad on the stand adhered itself to the fender. See that right there? I went to go flip the fender over and it was stuck to this thing here because of the acid, I guess. So I probably got to clean that up later. But I'm going to wash this while it's sitting on the ground now. I don't need the table. I just want to get the acid cleared off of that. Let me see. The hose is under there. Get the hose out. And I gotta change the jet setting on this because I really want to wash out the mud that's in there. So use two hands for this. I just got to show you this. I'm behind the eyebrow again. I hope you got enough light to see that. But look at this pile. These are all just little rocks, and they're all stuck the outside or the inside of here. And I'm hammering away. I got practically a chisel. That stuff's just glued in there. Reminds me of some places they surface roads with oil and pea gravel. It looks like that's what's in there. Some kind of gravel glued in. And I'm gonna hit it with the acid one more time in there at least. Because whatever that is, I don't want to paint over it when the time comes. Plus I can still see a little bit of rust in there anyway. So as soon as it dries out a little bit more, see it's still pretty moist. You see that? It's still wet. It dries out a little more, I'll put some more acid on it. But I'm going to keep chipping away with it with this tool right here. See what I can get out of there. Well, it kind of went from bad to worse. As I got that stuff out, I don't know if you can see the light holes poking through. Look at all this crap that was in there. I don't know what that is. I don't know if they put that in there on... They must have put that in there on purpose as like a filler. Maybe this is some kind of roofing tar or something. But coming around the other side, you know, I was chopping at that with a screwdriver and a hammer, and I poked right through. I was seeing if maybe I could pop this dent out, which I can kind of see now. If I get something blunt, maybe like a drift or something, or a punch, maybe I could pop that dent out a little better. But as it stands now, I'm going to have to cut this anyways to get that metal back to being metal. You know, what they did is they had Bondo just filling all that in. I could do that too, but I don't think that's the right thing to do. But for now, I'm going to get this dirt out of here and then throw some acid on that and let it soak. Now, I just gave that thing the final rinse, so it's got to sit for about an hour and dry. But I want to just show you this. I started poking at, I don't even know if you can see it because it's so close. I started poking at the, or punching away at that dent, the backside. And basically I'm breaking through. So the metal's probably pretty thin. So the dent's coming out. Yeah, it came out right here. But it popped through. I used a punch with about a 1/4 inch diameter tip. Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe 3/8. But yeah, so that's going to need a lot of work. I still got a lot of work to do here and here. So this Fender's far from finished. So you'll be seeing more of it soon. But I want to tell you thanks for watching. It's a long video, but I covered a lot of different intricate pieces, and God knows what the hell they were doing behind this with that filler stuff. Anybody knows, maybe that's some kind of old school body filler that I don't know about. Thanks for watching.